Oh, this is worrying. This is not good news for us in the industry. Losing people, it's not very good, especially when they're using the infrastructure designed by us, the technocrats. We are sorry for that. I know there are many unanswered questions here. The report has put it clearly that the bridge collapses in China, killing 12 and leaving more than 30 missing. The president of the country also hinted and advised those in charge of climate change, weather, to take note. But I haven't seen a report from engineers or the technocrats. Maybe as it has been the case well over, the police are always the first to be at the scene to give their reports. Good enough, the security forces these days have all the experts, including engineers. So let's wait and see what the police report will read. Personally, I would also ask a lot of questions, because looking at the terrain where the bridge is, looking at the alignment, looking at the orientation of the bridge, looking at the water direction, and the hill behind in the background, it's a very confusing. I think the one who took the picture also took it in a kind of emotional, because it looked like the situation wasn't good enough. Maybe if they are taken using a drone. I don't know whether water is flowing along the bridge, and because of the terrain as it is seen, or it's a bit complicated. Now, I see eroding banks, slope failures on the hills the other side. I see close here also some eroded embankment close to the bridge. Where is the water flowing? If water is coming from that side of the hill and getting here towards ourselves here, could it be that the collapse of the embankment could have been pushed down, and water pushed this debris, soil, towards the bridge, which tempered to move the substructure system and allowed a panel deck system to fall? Because if you look at the panel, there's nothing like breaking or failure in bending. It was just bearing problems, shearing problems due to movement of the support system. Now, if you have a very narrow and narrow bearing self, I see the pier cap seem to be very small, and it means these guys were putting precise bearings without any allowance for jacking from the front. Maybe the jacking is being done along the pier cap length. Now, the pier columns, I'm not so certain about their robustness when it comes to movement due to excessive loads. And most of the Chinese design we see even here with us in Uganda, this type have got single piles going down in line with the pier column you see. So if you have 2 columns here or 3, that means you also have 3 piles going down. Unfortunately, if it doesn't encounter rock and it is on sand or soil, where you're doing it by friction, then once the critical length of the pile is exceeded by the flash flood, the scoring is too much. Because if you can see here, this loose embankment means even the soil is loose. Up to what point? Now, if the loose soil is along the critical length and it is almost up to the critical length and including critical length, and it is scored, definitely when water is flowing with this kind of the loose soil which we've seen collapsing from the other side of the hill, then the force, the lateral force on the bridge may exceed the limits. We normally take care of water velocity, But I don't think we normally take push effect from flowing soils and rock. We have cases here in Kasese where water flow with rocks, and it is impossible. Now maybe this is the high time where our philosophers, the doctors, the postgraduate doctorate fellows need to come up with some manuals on how we consider simultaneously the design of pier, hydrostatic pressure from water flowing, water current, and also how do we consider the forces from moving earth or moving soil, whereby water is now mixed. It's no longer water. You have combined density of soil together with water is flowing. The speed could be slow, but the force might be unbearable. So we narrow pier caps. If there is a small slightest tilt, the bridge bearings will definitely give way, and the bridge end support will just slide down, as evident from the picture in the background. So this is now where the World Road Association, the Bridges Technical Team are trying to advise, and I believe by 2027 we shall have very good guidance on how we need to look at our bridges today, in terms of resilience, in terms of robustness, in terms of adaptability to this kind of weather changes, climate change, in terms of redundancy. Here I can see quite a number of redundant members. Oh, they were all designed. Maybe it is always difficult to foresee that maybe if this was going to be the worst area or the most high current point, maybe a wider or a bigger span could have been provided, but we normally don't foresee that. Those are risks that we take when we are doing design. But definitely there is need to look at climate change today. I told you, I think in the previous communication that there is a lot of changes today. Land use, rivers that used to have depth exceeding 4 meters, today the river bed is at the level of the surrounding land, but water volume continue to increase. So you cannot put a box culvert where it used to be a bridge, because the flood will come and extend into the land surrounding, and definitely will cause problem to embankments. So this one in particular, I think there are 2-3 cases I see here: shear failure or bearing failure due to movement of the piers displacing the bearings, and I also foresee the inadequacy of the pier cap. For continuous sections, that's fine because you have single rows of bearings. But where you have the two girders bearing on two lines of bearing, definitely a wider pier caps is important. Maybe you also need to move ahead and begin adopting the design normally adopted for structures in the earthquake area, where you have those chains that you hook the girders onto the pier area, so that instead of going down will be bearing up there displaced, but jacking it, bringing it back to the position would not be a problem. So if these pier caps move because of the pier support movement, that means this movement exceeded what was required. So it's unfortunate that it has happened, and maybe we cannot do much. We can't blame the designer, because some of these limits exceed what's in the code and what the experts have experienced in that design life. But what we need to take note of now is for those who want to make changes in the industry, is to be mindful of resilience, climate change adaptability, redundancy, robustness. Very, very important. Where we have mobile banks of this nature, where our soils keep collapsing, we really need to have structures with well-protected peer supports, well-protected support system, river training extended, so that these collapse that tend to come down and push the structure need to have some kind of cutoff, and then with a reduction in their velocity coming down to our vulnerable structures. Very, very important. I know Chinese have very good design. I know they're there, precise, computerized, but now, unfortunately, now when nature becomes excessive, then we see the thing here. So now we see China, we see India, and then so many things are happening. I've seen Canada. So sorry, we stand with you guys. Let's share knowledge. Let's share knowledge. The little we share will help us. Very, very important. Share experience. Today we can't hide our knowledge. Whatever we share become an archive that tomorrow your grandchildren will refer to, open and have a look and modify and do better. So that is what I can say. Thank you, and sorry for the Chinese fellows for that disaster.